Hello and welcome back to another video. So I'm not sure how this is going to work out, but I thought what we could do is take a quick look through all the games I've purchased this year. This doesn't include anything that I've traded or been gifted, but all the games that I've bought as far as memory serves me correct. And surprisingly it's a lot less than previous years, but there's some pretty decent stuff here. So the first few games are all part of an Xbox 360 bundle I got off eBay. I think I paid about £10 for all 4 games. I haven't played 3 of them, but one of them, which I will explain, I have played an awful amount, over 40 hours. So Far Cry 3. These are all supposed to be really cool games, so I'm looking forward to playing them. I have briefly stuck all of them on, but that doesn't really count as playing them in my book. This is also supposed to be a pretty decent one. Graphically, not quite up there with the Battlefields, but it's not all about the graphics. And last but not least, Grand Theft Auto 5. Absolutely adored this game. I couldn't get enough of it. Finished the story now. There's still a few missions to complete and that kind of thing. I think I'm just under 70% through it, but really cool game. Really a big fan of this. Love the way the story pans out. Love the cast of characters. I love all the changes they've made. You know, they've changed the characteristics of the vehicle handling. They've changed where you restart from if you fail a mission. They've let you replay missions. The fact you can chop and change between all 3 characters if it gets frustrating just makes it such a better experience. And to be fair, I didn't find any of it frustrating, none of the missions, unlike previous Grand Theft Auto games. So to me, this is the best game Rockstar's ever made, and can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6. May even have to buy a new console to play it. So a couple of Mega Drive games next. Got Fire Mustang here. Can't quite remember how much I paid. I think it was just over £10. But really nice shooter actually. We'll open this up as soon as I've got the opportunity. So there you can see the cartridge and the manual. Not too bad a condition. Nice bit of design there. So this was a Japanese exclusive. It was also released in the arcades. So Fire Mustang. Next, very nostalgic classic, Worms. I had this game and I'd kept it for many years, and for some reason when I started thinking about collecting seriously for the Mega Drive, I got rid of it. Stupid really. I think it's probably because it was water stained or something like that. Like a lot of my old games seem to be from being stored in the loft for years and years, but can't go wrong with Worms. Absolutely fantastic. And this Mega Drive conversion, really good. 4-player compatible. You can even use the 4-player adapter, because I remember back in the day there being substantial amounts of arguments if you shared controllers, because somebody would take control of somebody else's Worm, and you know, it was like a dispute in Monopoly. It was never going to end well. So get your multi-tap on if you're playing multiplayer. My recommendation. It can get quite serious, a game of Worms. So a bit of Sega Saturn action. Street Racer Extra. Pick this up really cheap. It's not a bad game at all. Very interesting 2D sprites, scaling effects. It's obviously a 3D game, but the way the graphics work, it's really nice. I actually prefer this to the PlayStation version. It's certainly a cut above the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive / Genesis release. Yeah, not a bad one. Again, that's multiplayer. Well, I haven't got a multi-tap for the Sega Saturn. So keeping with the Saturn theme, we've got Destruction Derby. I was keen to get this back. More of a nostalgic thing. It's not the world's greatest game, but it is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. In really nice condition. Didn't cost very much money at all. So pleased to get that one. Here's my Christmas present to myself. It's Wipeout. This was brand new and sealed. Not particularly uncommon, brand new and sealed. You can buy it all day long on Amazon for around about £15. Used to be a really cheap game, you know, second hand, but like all of these things, copies are drying up, and this is fantastic. I put a gameplay video on my channel. I played it on Christmas morning for about half an hour, and I tell you what, it was so intense. I was so into it. That's probably the most enjoyable half an hour of gaming I've had in such a long time, and I'm looking forward to returning to this and perfecting the courses, because that video was only my second go on the game on this version on the Saturn, which actually runs on the Manx TT engine and wasn't developed by Psygnosis. But disregarding all of that, it's still a really cool racing game, and at some point I'm probably going to take the plunge and buy Wipeout XL for this Japanese Saturn, which is not a cheap game compared to 2097 on the PlayStation, but you know, if you want something, price doesn't really matter, does it? So moving on to Dreamcast. A lot of Dreamcast love in 2016, much as in 2015. So Spirit of Speed 1937, regarded as one of the worst games on the system. I've kind of enjoyed playing it. It's been fun with the wheel and everything else. Unfortunately, it's the only game I've got with a broken case, which is a bit of a bummer. But I'm keeping this game in my collection, not because it's a brilliant game, because I think if you have people over and you go out for a few drinks and you stick this on with a steering wheel, it could be quite amusing. You've got to pick the right track, the right racer, etc, etc. But it's not bad. It's not bad. I think, and I was thinking about this the other day, the reason why I actually used to really enjoy all the rubbish games on the PlayStation, or games that weren't of such a high quality, was I used to love getting my friends to play them and just laughing, pretending it was a good game, and then laughing at them struggling with it. I don't know why. I think I've always been a bit like that, to be fair. But yeah, so Spirit of Speed definitely fits that category. So we've got Magforce Racing. Really like this. Futuristic racer. It's a little bit disorientating, I think, in the actual first person mode or cockpit view, and I don't really like the way the craft look, but soundtrack's fantastic, and it's a very enjoyable game. Very cheap to obtain as well. I would wholeheartedly recommend picking this up if you've got a Dreamcast. It fits in with that arcade style that you know and love from Sega. Although of course it's not a Sega game, but it just feels like that. Here we have Conflict Zone, still sealed. I was on the fence about this one for ages. Seen it pop up, I think it was $9.99. Obviously brand new. And thought, since it's one of the only RTSs, if not the only RTS on the Dreamcast, I would give it a whirl, because I am actually quite a big fan of the RTS genre. More Dreamcast. It's Trick Style. I think this is the Portuguese copy, something like that. I remember now, this was $4.99, brand new and sealed. I've played it for about half an hour. It's an interesting game. I think it would have been nice to have seen a sequel, but I do remember watching a video of this on YouTube, somebody on the Japanese track who was really good at the game, and it looked amazing when the gameplay was in his hands. So definitely one needs to put some more time into, but seems to be a fairly good game. Here we have Hydro Thunder. Absolutely fantastic. You can't beat Hydro Thunder, I don't think, on any system of its PS1, N64, Dreamcast, even the Xbox 360 live arcade release. Every single one absolutely brilliant, and such a shame we haven't seen an official sequel of sorts. I think there was a kind of a sequel, but it didn't carry quite the same name, and unfortunately, where's the disc in there? Yeah, unfortunately this is one game where I ended up getting a bit of a dodgy sticker stain on the cardboard spine, but can't really complain. I'm not overly anal about condition anymore, it's just too much hassle. And of course you can get some right bargains if you don't mind having a broken box, or you know, a little rip here and there. So here we have Suzuki All-Star Extreme Racing. This is a game that's got really mixed reviews on the internet, but in actual fact I really like this. Big fan of Most GP 06 on the Xbox 360. Spent a lot of time playing that, and this feels like the extreme bike racing mode on that game, so if you're familiar with that, you'll be right at home. I don't know if you can see it, if it quite makes it out. It's got this like grid pattern. I don't know why. I mean, it is in the art, but whenever you see it on eBay, you think, oh, but hell, someone scratched it with a Stanley knife, but it's not actually the case. Yeah, cool game. I think that cost me next to nothing, like literally. And here we've got one more Dreamcast game, very recent pickup. Don't think I've shown this other than a gameplay of it when I live streamed it, and it's Armada. Now, I wasn't going to buy this game because people wanted like 30 quid for it, and I thought, no, I'm not going to bother. And it popped up on eBay, $16.99, buy it now. I thought, I'm going to take the plunge, and I'm actually really glad I did. Fantastic game. It's kind of like it's not a role-playing game, it's just like a space combat game. that you can play with 4 people. It's got role-playing game type elements. I think if you're a fan of, you know, science fiction and that kind of stuff, you'd probably get a bit of a kick out of this. I'd like to play it with a group of people because I think it would be really intense then. You know, an all-nighter on this would be pretty decent. So I'm not sure, you know, how far it opens out. I'm probably played it for 5 or 6 hours. I've certainly, my ship's changed, evolved if you like, and I've seen some different planets with different sort of surfaces, but I've no idea how deep this gets, although from all reports it's one of those kind of games that you'll never finish. So definitely want to play a bit more. And last but not least, I bought these just for a when away on holiday. I'm actually really glad I did, because I played them quite a bit in the old tent. So I've got Kicks on the Game Boy. Really cool, really suits the actual Game Boy, the quest for a high score. This game's got it, and really nice condition. I believe these were £6 each, so crazy really. And last but not least, Alleyway. The kind of game, personally for me, I can play for about 10-15 minutes and then I get fed up with it, but sometimes that's all I want. If I take a portable device away from me, or with me, not from me, and this fits the bill nicely. So that's pretty much it. That's all the games I've bought in 2016. So if I don't see you before, I hope you have a fantastic new year, and we shall see what 2017 brings. Goodbye for now.